Hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of my Immigrant Diary. My name is Wale.
My name is Precious.
In this diary session, we're going to be talking about Precious' decision to move. So let's get right into it. Precious, tell us your story.
Okay, then. Thanks, Wally, man. Um, where do I start from? So the decision to move abroad, right? So that's a very like a deep question because there are so many things I can think of that really informed my decision over time. But I would like to just, for the sake of this conversation, maybe share a story that goes back to when I was really young, as a um, young African child growing in Lagos, Nigeria. At the time, there was a lot of movie influence in my life as a child. So I used to watch a lot of Hollywood movies. I used to, you know, just love it. And just used to imagine what it would be like to travel around. Go to these places. Some of the, I can't even mention them. Different locations. Some of these movies were shot not just in the US, but these are Hollywood movies representing different countries, continents, and so I used to just imagine traveling. I think that's where I started getting you know, the dream and the desire to travel the world. I know you and I talked about it, even as
Yeah.
we became friends growing up, I used to dream about, traveling the world. I think that became, one of the things that I know over the years has not changed. you know, I still want to travel the world.
Yeah. Do
So
you
yeah,
do you remember one of the places that you saw and you still you could imagine yourself visiting?
New York.
Of course.
I got that. New York. you know,
Yeah.
Come on, man. So oh man, Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, it's in
But
New York.
Statue of Liberty, yeah, it was in always in in a lot of American movies. And if you watch a lot of you know, high energy action thriller, you would somehow somebody's climbing the Statue of Liberty, somebody's
Or they are blowing
jumping
it
off the
up, or they
Statue
are
of
just
Liberty, so
yeah.
oh yeah, blowing it up, something White House. So I used to just, dream of, seeing these places, right? And just to
Yeah.
mention, there's so many other places I thought about what I used to dream about, even up onto even to Europe, but yeah, so that dream was always there. But as an African child, as a Nigerian child, growing up in Lagos, I didn't know whether I had the opportunity or the access, to achieve that dream. But it was there. And so as I grew older, I think fast forward to when I graduated from high school, it's time to go to college in university, as we call it back home. And I, you know, I spoke to my dad, I did a couple of research and I figured, if I get a very high score in SAT,
Okay, SAT.
SAT,
Okay.
I think is an examination required. Yeah. So to, from high school to college here in the US. So
Yes.
I thought, if I get a very high score, I think the total score then was 1600. I think if you get over 1400 or so, you can get some, scholarship, full scholarship, and all kind of, financial aid and support, So I thought that could happen for me. And, my father was an accountant, right? So I think as a child growing up, and that's what I want to do better as a father right now, right? Is to listen to my kids. Because I remember, I used to talk to my dad about stuff and just tell him just crazy ideas. And he would just, yeah, yeah, okay, okay, okay. And all he thinks about is how much does this cost? So, I remember he said, I told him, I said, Dad, if I get a good score, I'll be able to get a score. He's like, okay, how much is it? SAT? I told him what it cost. He said, we paid for the exam, took lessons, prepared. You know, I wrote the SAT. If I remember clearly, I think I got 1,004 off,
Yeah.
1,600.
Yeah.
Yeah. was not a bad score, but it was not enough for me to get, you know, scholarship and all of the stuff I was hoping I would get. So, I mean, you know, honestly, for any follower, if you are following this conversation, if you know better in terms of what 1004 or 1000, a score of 1000 will achieve for a student trying to apply to college with an please put it on the comment section. I want to learn. You know, it's many years ago, but I want to learn. Maybe I could have done something better. Maybe someone here today could, you know, who's watching can also learn by reading your comments and, you know, make better decisions, because at that time there was not a lot of access to internet. MNOs had just started off at that time, and so we didn't even have, there was, at that time you wouldn't easily find internet to subscribe to, so you would have had to go to cyber cafe, you know, buy, you know, what we call cyber cafe, business center, depending on what country you're listening to. Like
we barely had any good infrastructure for Wi-Fi or broadband or anything like that. So
absolutely, at that time. So yes, so I would go to cyber cafes, as we call it, buy airtime, log into a computer, and, you know, browse the internet for a couple of hours, researching, trying to get information on how to make, you know, my dream happen. So anyway, with the score I got, I think, you know, researching, I wouldn't get, you know, full scholarship. So I went back to my father and said, you know, this is the update, you know. So he asked, okay, what's the value of, if I was going to go, you know, pay for everything, pay for school. I gave him the down, I gave him a budget. And my dad I grew up like that, writing budgets. Even when I went to boarding school, right? From high school. So I always go to him with the budget. Yeah, this is the budget. He looks at it. He never goes through the budget. He looks at the final figure, like, I go do something about this thing. I go figure it out. Come back. He looks at it. Because, you know, do something about it. So he never really goes straight in. He just goes through the final, you know.
Yeah, he already has a mind of the amount he wants to spend.
Yeah,
so he just
exactly. So
that's what
when I told him that this was the cost, he was like, nah, you know, I can't afford this. You know what? No, don't worry about, forget about this, you know. So he was like, you know what? Hey, it's go find a school in Nigeria, go to your first degree. I will do everything to be ready for your second degree. I will do everything to be ready for your second degree so you can go school abroad. So I was like, okay, great. So, you know, found the school, you know, and I went to do my first degree. But the sad part is, by the time I finished my first degree, my dad had passed away.
No. By the time you finished, or by the time you got the
no, by the time I finished my first degree, he had passed away.
I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, thanks, man. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, it's really tough. So by the time I graduated, the time I rounded up my first degree, my BSc, I realized that, okay, you know, I had the dream. I still wanted to, you know, the ultimate dream was to travel the world, right? Don't forget this. All of, you know, going abroad to school was all part of the mission to achieve that goal. So I had to, you know, I got a job.
So wait, you know, hold on. So you started up with this dream of traveling the world. You were able to get your dad to buy into that dream also. And the first time you tried, you know, you could have gotten into a school, but like I wasn't financially ready for you to be able to go into that school, except if you had gotten like a full scholarship. So you couldn't get that. You had to get your first degree, and then and he had already promised you that, you know, by the time you're done with your first degree, you will be ready to pay the expenses, or to take care of the expenses for you to get to study abroad. And then before that happens, before you get your first degree, you lost your father. How did you deal with that? How were you able to cope with that sense of loss? Not just it affecting your dreams, but also like it would have changed your life completely at that point. How were you able to handle that situation?
Grief is a very, very unexplainable, unimaginable feeling. I think I was in my final year in the university when he passed. And so, at that time, I didn't even think about the dream of what was going to happen next. It was just the grief, you know, of losing him, and I saw him 3 days before he passed because I was on break from school while he was ill in the hospital. And I know I went to see him. And okay, so the last conversation I had with my father on his dying bed was that it was almost time for me to go back to school. And as ill and feeble as he was, he got his, he could hardly hold a pen.
Mm.
And he was struggling to write me a check to go to school, to go back to campus. So I mean, doubts every time thinking about it right now, it just makes me very emotional because he was passionate about education. I used to say that he's he didn't have the privilege of his parents paying his way through school. He had to work. He had to, you know, really work hard to get educated, to go to school, um, up until the level what he got to. Oh man. So I didn't think this was supposed to be talking about my decision to go abroad.
And
Yeah.
take your time if you need it.
Okay. Initially I was in denial. You know, I dealt with the grief with being in denial. So when it happened, I didn't break down. I didn't cry. I felt like I'm a man. I needed to be strong for my mother, for my siblings. Needed to be strong for the family. And
Mhm.
so as a result, I just kind of you know held it in. Um, but I think it hit me the most from time to time in campus when I'm broke, when I need my allowance, I need some money. I'll just turn on my phone and call my father and say, "Hey, Dad, it's that time of the month. I didn't get any credit. I didn't get any money yet." And those are the times it really hit home for me. You know, as a campus student, you can relate with that. You turn on your phone, like, there were times I would dial that, I would dial the number actually,
Mm.
only to remember while the call is, in queue that, that is gone. And that will break my spirit, brother. That
Mm.
that broke my spirit every time that happened. It did happen, there were several times that happened that it broke my spirit, man.
Yeah.
Um, but I look back now, I'm thankful that, I didn't give up. I never gave up. Even though it took me a long time, I'm still on that path. I still um want to want to go back and have a master's degree in his honor because that's
Mm.
something he always wanted from me, right?
Yeah.
Probably might not need a master's degree,
Yeah.
um, because now we know better.
Yeah.
The richest men in the world are not. Some of them they have no degree.
Yeah.
The most
Yeah.
successful people don't need a degree. So, but it's important that my one of my favorite lecturer then in school would say, do well what is in front of you. And
Yeah.
if being in class is what is in front of you, then do it well. right?
Yeah.
If it is going to school that's in front of you, do it well. If it's you're an artisan and that you're doing a work in front of you, do it well. So yeah, so I remember um so when I left college,
Mm-hmm.
um when I left university, I got a got a job. But the dream never died. I still had it in my heart. And I remember, I had this vision board. I still do. I have a
Wait,
vision
wait.
board where
Hold on. You still have the same vision board, or has it changed over time?
no, no. This vision board, as you grow older, as things happen in your life, you iterate on it, but
Yeah, yeah.
I still have a vision board, right? I have a planner, but I
Ah,
have a
that's
vision
great.
board where I see things I dream of, you know.
So
Since I
when
moved, I'm
was
here
this?
to 2010. Yeah,
2010.
2010.
So
Yes.
wow, 12 years
Yeah. Yep.
later.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
But yeah,
12 years
but
later.
yeah,
Could have happened for me in 2010 if daddy had been around. Yeah,
exactly,
12
exactly.
years. And guess what? For my dad, it was I was gonna go to school. I was gonna go do my second degree.
Yeah,
I'm yet to go do my second degree. I'm just, on the path to achieve my dream, which
yeah,
is, traveling the world. That was still,
absolutely.
you know, yeah. So, and this is part of why I'm here. I mean, like I said, there are other things, but for the sake of this conversation, right?
Yeah,
The other things that are important, probably as we talk, in future episode, I'm sure I'll remember to share some of the other things that inform my decision to move
definitely,
abroad.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so guys, stay tuned to our channel, My Immigrant Diary. Please like and subscribe and click on the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop another episode. We are going to go into more details, about, those decisions, those moments that made Precious, that really pushed him towards that dream
Mm-hmm.
of, well, closer rather to that dream of traveling the world. So yes, thank you so much for joining us, and then we'll continue with Precious now. So now you have graduated, you started a job.
Yep.
So what happened next after that?
Okay. All right. So now I'm work now. I mean, I started a job. For I remember, I think my first job. But so at that time, what I decided was, you know what? So my dad was always my sponsor. So he's not this time. So I became my sponsor, right?
Yeah.
So I decided that I would work for a couple of years. I would try to save up. I would. So I decided I was going to work for a couple of years and try to see if I can save up and achieve the goal of going to um, have my second degree, do my second degree abroad.
Okay.
Um, and when I mean abroad, US was my primary goal, right? To
Mm-hmm.
come to US and have my second degree. But then as I penned this plan down, I also had a plan B. So my plan B was this: if I don't achieve it in a couple of years, I think if I remember, it was 3 years right after, right? I think from 2010, and I said if I don't achieve it, I was going to focus back home in Nigeria, build my life, find a wife, have 2 kids. It's funny I wrote this thing down. That's what I wrote down. 2 kids. Then my wife and I will work on this dream and move abroad. Um, you know, to the US, primarily. But yeah, that was the thinking. So I actually wrote these things down and, went on with life. For a typical Nigerian African child, it's not always easy. It's not
Yeah.
always easy. But we're very hardworking people. And shout out
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
all my African brothers.
Yeah.
Around the world. Shout out to even you know people from around the world. People really work hard. The most people, I mean, not just most, the most people really work hard,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? So
Absolutely.
I did my part. I really put in all of my energy, at the point started up my own started up a sole proprietorship, did everything, but it just never happened, just couldn't achieve it at the
Yeah.
time. So yeah, eventually met the love of my life, got
Wait,
married.
hold on, hold on. Wait, so
I always say I love love, man.
so
I can talk about love if you let me, but
so you were saying earlier that when you graduated school, you had decided that you were gonna have a plan of working for, I guess, like 3 years, and then if it doesn't
yeah,
work, you're gonna focus on your life in Nigeria, build a family, have a
yeah,
couple of kids.
yeah.
Okay. So I safe to assume that you met your love after those 3 years.
Yeah, actually, I met
Okay.
her before the 3 years elapsed, right? But
Oh,
it's
okay.
interesting. I met her I met her on the journey, right? So,
Yeah.
and even while on the journey, I met her and I told her, I say, hey, I have a goal, I have a dream, and this is it, and she was like, okay, you know what, I'm on it, I'm with you on it, So, yeah, so interestingly, it's funny, I was already giving up on moving to the US. Yeah, I was thinking, okay, maybe go if since the US wasn't looking viable, maybe I would just go to somewhere close by, which is Canada. Maybe it's not America, right?
Yeah,
So
but not
I was already thinking that
America,
way. Yeah, not America. So yeah.
yeah.
So I was thinking that way. I mean, at the time there was a lot of information now, about, there were a lot of access, there's a lot of information access, to be able to make this dream happen. But I still needed, financially I was disadvantaged at the time to afford. I couldn't afford it, so I was trying to see how I could save up and all of that stuff. But I had a career. I was growing in my career, so that was great. So fast forward, you know, you know, yeah, like I said, 3 years if it doesn't happen, settle down. So I settled down. 5 years later, I was just in 2015. So move, forward. Fast forward, we had our first child. Then when we were gonna have our second, we had our first child. Then we were gonna have our second child. We thought, well, hey, let's implement, let's make this happen. You know, let's go to the US, right? So we tried to go to, move together to the US as a family, but it just didn't work out. So it was a very, very, I think that's one of the hardest decisions my wife and I have made in our marriage so far. The decision to have her go ahead to have the child, to have our daughter in the US, while my son stayed behind with me. And so
Okay,
what
wait,
we
before
needed
you
to do,
hold on. So, you got married, you had your first child in Nigeria, right?
yeah,
So, and
Lagos.
then when you wanted to have your second child, you decided, yeah, it was time to move.
Yes.
So when you had the second child, you decided to move, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
I decided to
so
move.
and then when you
No, when we decided before, so we decided to before we had
oh,
the
you
second
decided
child
to move
when
before
we
you, okay,
got
okay.
pregnant. Yeah,
So and then when you wanted to move, you saw that it wasn't possible for all of you to move
to move
and
as a family. Yes,
as a
we
family.
had some
So
difficulty.
okay, so you decided only your wife and your before
No,
your second child.
my wife was,
Yeah, she was okay,
yeah,
she was expecting at the time. So so she would move and then you would go and join your family after that.
exactly,
Oh, okay.
exactly.
Got it.
That became the plan. So she moved right before COVID in 2019. She moved, had yeah, she moved um to New York and later to Maryland where we live now. Um, we had the baby, we had a beautiful daughter. In Then shortly after that, COVID hit, right? And
Yeah.
that, just
Yeah.
like many people, disrupt our lives forever,
Yeah.
forever. You know, like the blip in the movie
Avengers, yeah.
Avengers.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't want to relive that experience, bro. As a result, COVID hit the embassy around the world. I'm certain so many people watching right now can have something to share, to say, right, about the experience, especially for people who were trying to relocate or travel to join their spouse or partner or family in the US or even around the
Yeah.
world. People
Yeah.
couldn't travel. COVID
Yeah.
hit, they were shut down. And to make matters worse for us, the embassy in Nigeria shut down completely. And even long after, all of the short lockdown was, being, I would like, what's the word? Yeah.
Lifted?
Even long after, we've been lifted, all the restrictions exactly were being lifted.
Yeah.
It was difficult to get an appointment at the embassy. It was
Yeah.
almost impossible. It was a
Yeah.
terrible situation.
Yeah.
Like I look back, oh my God, it was
Yeah.
crazy. Bro, as a result of COVID and, you know, whatever, my wife and I were separated for 3.5 years.
Wow. Wow.
Honestly,
So
like
COVID started in 2020. You were already waiting for like a year or a little bit over a
almost, it
year.
was already almost, yeah,
And then
it was
COVID,
almost a year, right?
yeah. And COVID hit like I think it was in March or so. That was when all the world
Yeah, like February, yeah,
went,
January,
yeah,
February,
February,
yeah.
March, yeah, in the early part of 2020. So wow. So and you just
Like,
had to start spending all you just didn't know because the messages were not responding. There was nobody to
yeah,
talk
there was no way
to.
there's no way you could have, yeah. So for us, I mean, if we had no kids, it probably would have been different. But
Yeah,
we have kids now,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So it was a terrible, oh man, I think I would never have to wait for any other thing in this life. Like I waited for the time to reunite my family.
yeah.
Ever. Honestly, if I if I had foresight to see into the future, I probably, you know, I would have found another route. Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah,
maybe not. I don't know. If
yeah.
I'd
You could have
seen into the
decided to
future,
just wait also until after this was over and then you
well, like, yeah, would have maybe, I don't know, man.
yeah,
The process took time. The
yeah,
filing took time. Yeah, it was just, man, a lot of heartache. It
yeah,
was a difficult time. I think one of the most difficult times in my life as well. I've had a couple of difficult times in my life. That is one.
yeah.
That is, yeah, one of it.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah,
so yeah, fast forward, yeah, 2022, last quarter.
everything
Oh
eventually came
yeah,
together. Yes.
yep,
Yes, that's what I'm talking
yep.
about. A
Together with the
12, even
family.
if I'm thinking it's a 12-year dream, or it's even more than 12 years. Before 2010, you had always wanted
Yeah,
to leave, but you
yeah.
had
But
planned
but
that,
but
okay, fine, I'm listening. Go on,
yeah,
go on.
you're right. Actually, the plan was to live abroad, so that, to the dream was to travel the world, but there was a
Yes.
plan to, to school, which was on the journey, because, school, education, go to school, or going to, university or college, it's not just going to read books and all that. You're going to
Yeah.
experience the world is an opportunity to experience different people, different culture, meet different people. That's why you
Yeah.
go to, global, international schools, or if you go abroad to school. So that
Yeah.
was an opportunity to go abroad. For me, that was what it meant, that I was going to go abroad to school, meet people from all over the world, because there are places that I might never go to, but I can
Yeah.
see those places through the eyes of others that I meet.
Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
me, and so that's why today, everywhere I go, I try to meet people, I try to, make friends, I try to connect with people.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, every city I travel to, I try to connect with people, because I see the world through the eyes of these people, right?
Absolutely. That's
So for
wonderful.
me, that's what, I'm looking forward to, just seeing the world, because it was a big place. It's man, I feel like if you do, this is me, my opinion, right? I feel like if you travel, you have an open mind to seeing the world, like you travel as well.
Yeah.
There's something it does to you as a person. You can
Definitely.
never remain
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah. It's really hard to explain how much beneficial it is to you in terms of the way you think, the way
Mm-hmm.
you interpret what people do, and how you can
Yeah,
grow during those all those
yeah,
period. Like you can never you cannot buy that kind of experience, that kind of
yeah,
shift in the way you think, and you just become a much better person when you travel, when you truly immerse yourself in other people's culture. So
yeah. True,
so yeah, I
true.
appreciate you sharing. We are happy to have you in the US, and you were
Yep.
supposed to be here before me, but I was here before you for some
I'm
whatever reason.
Francis. Well, that's why we're here to tell our story, man. That's why this is my immigrant diary. And this is
Yeah,
not just, when I say our story, it's not just my Wale and I, it's also, um, anyone, who's watching this, please, we're going to put in our email. You can send us an email if you like to come on one of the, diary session to share about your, immigrant experience. It could be
yeah,
anything from your travel experience, from, just your experience being in a new city, in new country, your experience living in your country, anything, something, if you feel like you like to share, for people to listen here and also learn, there's a platform we are open to having you join us. Okay.
yeah,
This is
absolutely.
my immigrant diary.
Absolutely. For now, we say have a wonderful day. Join us on the next episode that's going to be dropping really soon. Thanks so much, everyone.
Yeah, all right then.